Hiya, I'm Shelly, and this is Comfortably Blind, and my chair is stuck. Okay, what I've got here, and I've been waiting for this to go on half price, waiting. Finally, it come up as a price I wanted to pay, and the cover is falling apart. And I do have some new covering coming. It isn't going to be the same, but it's my camera. What we've got here is a Kodak folding, Kodak 2A folding cartridge Premo. The best I can figure, this was built between 1917 and 1923, I think. So it's a 100-year-old camera. 100-plus-year-old camera. The cover can look however it wants. At 100 plus, I don't think your cover will look very good either. But anyway, it's basically the predecessor of my Rainbow. Only the Rainbow wasn't black. It was, well, rainbow. Now, so you open it up with this. You unlock it, pull it open. You grab your little chrome knobby here, pull out, locks into place. The lock also gives you 3 focusing steps. The camera itself, the lens anyway, gives you a whole whopping, the fastest shutter speed on it is 50. So 50, and then you can slide it back to 25. And for timed shutter speeds, that's all you get. And then you can go over to B, and B is bulb mode. What that does, let's open up our, oops. What bulb mode does is hold the shutter open as long as you hold it down, the trigger down. You also have a place to put a remote trigger, so you can have like a little piston button off to the side. And then you can come over here to T, which is timed. Make sure that's, and what that does is when you push down the first time, it opens the lens and holds it there. So like if you're doing low light and you want to let it sit there for say 10-15 seconds, and then when you're done, pull down again and it closes it. Your viewfinder is this. Now the Rainbow had a clear viewfinder. This one is frosted. It's kind of a little harder to see through than the Rainbow, but it works. So now here, you put it here for portrait. If you want to do landscape, you slide it here. And now you can focus on landscape. It really is kind of hard to see through in this dim light, but anyway, now you have your apertures on the bottom here, and if I remember right, you go from 1 is 8, and I think this is supposed to be 64. So if you're going to do like the Sunny 16 rule, because you are really quite limited on shutter speed, which really quite limits you on film, I would go like 50, 80, 100. If you're going to do anything more than 100, like say 200 or 400, I would try and figure out something to do for a filter, because 400 is just too light reactive for 50th of a second shutter speed. But anyway, so like I say, it's about 64 to 8, I believe. All in 1, 2, 3, 4, just like the Rainbow. And I keep this poor thing keeps shedding. Like I said, I do have a cover coming. You won't like it, but it's my camera, and if I want rainbow poops, I'll put rainbow poops on my camera. But anywho, now to like fine focus, you have right here in the middle in this groove here, you have fixed, which would be right kind of general. And then if you want to do close-ups, this is 8 to 25. If you squeeze and pull up here, and then behind this would be for your 30 to 100 back here. So kind of infinity or whatever back here. Now, once you got it snapped in here and it doesn't want to go anywhere, to close this, you do that, you push the same thing to be able to focus it, you squeeze it, and then you push. And you want to make sure this part here goes over this little springy hump back here. So, and it kind of snaps in. Now it's back far enough. Now what you want to do is take these two bars, because they kind of lock into place, and push back. Now you can close it. And this part here, this part locks it. So now you can't, it won't just come flopping open. But what this also does is it becomes your tripod, kind of sort of, tabletop tripod for portrait. And then if you flip it over this way, for landscape. Now this poor thing doesn't have the winding loop piece that goes up here. It was missing when I got it. Shed. It missing when I got it, and I had to figure out something better than a nut, because as you go to wind it counterclockwise loosens the nut. And besides, I couldn't really get much of a bite with a die from Tap and Die set. So now to load this bad boy, you slide this over. I guess load and unload. Slide this over, and this will remove the cartridge part of the cartridge camera. Now, so you have your feed roll here, and what you have to do is you take your 120 roll of film, and if you've got any of these cameras but haven't got, because this is a 1/16 camera, and if you haven't got these either made or bought yet, you need to get a pair of these for the take-up side. I have not got it to work for, well, I'm so sorry, this is a ply side. I have not been able to get them to work on the take-up side. To get the take-up reel out, you pull up on your, wow, it just falls out, up on your winder knob, and your spool falls out. And you can kind of see the difference between the 1/16, which is not available, and the 120, which is. So what you end up doing is make sure this is up out of the way, and the one-ways are gone on this too. And you take your 1/16 and it's like set your 120 film here, start it on there, wrap it a couple of times so it'll hold, slide it in, and then find it with your winder, which will hold this from falling out. Then you take your film, you put your little adapters on here, you put it down inside, snap it into the back. It should hold. See, it doesn't want to fall out. It should hold with the film paper and everything in the back here. Once you've got that taken care of, then you take your cartridge back out, or pick up your cartridge, and these rollers will also help keep the spools in place. These two spoilers. These two rollers are for the spool. This one's actually for the film. And same on this side. These two rollers are for the spool. This one's for the film. And being that it's 120 and not 1/16, the film won't actually quite fill this whole void. So it'll be kind of like a sprocket camera. So then you take your little groove here, slide this in, fit it over the or between the grooves here, push it down, slide it over, wind it tight, and go to, if I remember right, on the rainbow, you go to 2 here, and then for your next frame you can't just go to the next one, because it's only like 3 would be here. What you have to do is you go 2 and you start counting like the space next to the 2 and the first bubble. That would be 1. Each bubble is another number, like 2, 3, 4, the next number, even though it's 3, would be 5, and you count to 15. 15, as I found out, is enough to give you enough separation between pictures to not waste the roll of film and not overlap the roll of film. I think you'd get 6 or 7. I think, I can't remember. Anyway, I haven't got my film roll back from the Rainbow yet. But so, like I say, I've got rainbow poops covering for this coming, and I still got to figure this out before I load this up and start shooting. But the bellows are still good. I couldn't see any light through the bellows, and yeah, should be a good fun camera. Till next time. Again, I'm Shelly. Comfortably blind.